Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Touchline Talk with Odds Changer. As usual, I'm joined by the one and only football writer and broadcaster Dean Jones to discuss all the latest news and gossip from around the world of football. Hiya Dean, it's been another eventful week in the world of football. Lots of managerial changes in the EFL and lots of transfer speculation starting to go around now with the season coming to a close.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting time, isn't it? As a journalist, you have that little lull in like Jan, Feb, and then people start to panic about now in terms of managers and trying to stay in divisions. And then obviously contracts start to wind down as well, and people start their planning meetings right now for transfers. So a lot starting to happen, and it gives us plenty of talking points, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're not complaining really. We have something to talk about after those quiet months after the January transfer window closed. But one of the players whose future has been in debate in recent days is the future of Cristiano Ronaldo at Juventus. Obviously, lots of rumours about him after Juve crashed out of the Champions League to Porto last week. I know Juventus spent a lot of money to lure Ronaldo away from Real Madrid in 2018 with the purpose of trying to win the Champions League for Juventus. That hasn't happened, and few murmurings maybe that Ronaldo might be unhappy in Turin and looking to move on with talk of a potential return to Real Madrid. What's your take on the whole Ronaldo situation?
Well, as I understand it, it's more a case now that they're starting to feel out what the options could be if he did leave Juventus. I don't think it's guaranteed that he does. I still think there's a chance he's there next season. But the first avenue they wanted to explore was, is it possible to go back to Madrid? Like, ideally, I think they said to Ronaldo, like, what happens here? And I think it was just a case of like, if that is possible, let's go for it. I don't think it is possible, to be honest with you. I don't think that in terms of the plan that Real Madrid have in place and what they want to work towards in terms of the finances available right now, in terms of the fact that they would rather have Mbappe or Erling Haaland coming through the door than 36-year-old Ronaldo. I don't think it's going to be a good fit. And I don't think this is going to be the time that he does end up back there. But I think it's interesting that Madrid aren't really knocking it down publicly. I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting too that Ronaldo's even considering going back down that path. I think it just shows you how mad his brain is right now. Like, what do I do? Like, this hasn't worked out. I thought I was going to come here and win the Champions League for Juve. Second season in a row, we haven't even made the quarterfinals. The club probably thinking as well, like, right, what's our next path? Where do we go next? It's a big decision for Ronaldo in terms of where he goes from here.
Yeah, obviously he came in for a lot of criticism for the crucial goal in that defeat to Porto when he turned his back in the wall on the free kick. But he showed his class when he bounced back with a hat-trick at the weekend for Juve. So he's still scoring goals. Dean Ronaldo still hitting 20 goal mark every season, it seems, despite getting older and older. But if it's not going to be Real Madrid for Ronaldo, if he is to leave Juventus, what about Man United? Do you think that ship has sailed, or?
You say he's scoring goals again. I mean, the problem is scoring a hat-trick against Cagliari isn't quite what they had in mind when they signed him, was it? They wanted him to score a hat-trick in the last 16 and get through. So that's where you're at in terms of Juventus. Man United, I think the door's closed. There was murmurs earlier on in this season about that happening, and anyone I spoke to close to United was pretty quick to shut it down. So I don't think that's going to be on the table for him. Possibly PSG. I mean, I'm sure that link will come up again, especially if Mbappe leaves. But there's not many places that are going to be open to him right now on the kind of money he wants. So that's why he's got a tough decision. There's always been the question of him going to play, in possibly MLS or something like that. I mean, China's probably not an option anymore because they've changed the way that they give out salaries. So there really aren't many options. And that's why I say Juve next season is very plausible that he's still there.
Yeah, I think the Juve chief came out and said that he was the future of Juventus, and maybe other players might be leaving Turin before the Portuguese star. So I think, as you said, Ronaldo is on a good contract there at Juve. So I'm not sure many clubs will be able to afford the Portuguese superstar this summer. So, like you, Dean, I fully expect Ronaldo to stay at the Italian club this summer. Another player who his future is coming under scrutiny again, like most transfer windows coming up, is Harry Kane at Tottenham. Obviously, he's had another great season for Tottenham. He's had a few injury problems, but still scoring goals, lots of assists as well. He's Tottenham's main man. He's probably going to be England's main man this summer as well, Dean, at the Euros. But the style of football under Jose Mourinho has been questioned with Kane. Is he going to stick around if Tottenham continue to play this negative style of football? And he said, was it last summer, that he might have to think about his future and go to a club that's continually challenging for trophies. Big summer ahead for Harry Kane.
It is a big summer, yeah, and I think that his loyalty is almost the thing that's holding him back the most right now. You know, he is the best all-round striker in the game when he's on it, and there is pretty much every top team in Europe would be interested in having that conversation about him coming in. What's he realistically going to win at Tottenham in the next few years? You know, even this season, say, okay, well, he could get the Carabao Cup. I mean, one, there's a pretty small chance of that because Man City are the best team around. And two, even if he does, is that what he dreamed of? Like, is that what he wants to leave, having Tottenham say, well, I did win the Carabao Cup in 2021. Oh, good. Ultimately, this is England's number 9. This is one of the most sought-after strikers in world football. And I think he has to consider at some point, like, where's my ceiling? Like, what should I be doing? What will I think in 10 years' time when I look back on my career? Will I regret not trying something else? A lot of players do show loyalty and they think, oh, it would have been nice to just try something new and wonder how far I could have pushed things. Could I have won the Champions League? Could I have won the Premier League? Could I even have won another league outside of England? So, look, Man City are constantly linked, aren't they? Real Madrid have been linked before. There's a chance that Barcelona look for a striker. Bayern Munich are eventually going to want somebody to come in and fill the role of Lewandowski. There's a lot of options there for him. I'm not sure which one he would go for, though.
Yeah, he's not going to be short of offers, Harry Kane, if he did decide to leave Tottenham. But on the flip side of that, we've got the issue of probably having to deal with Daniel Levy over a transfer for Harry Kane. It's not going to be easy, as we've seen over the years with the way Daniel Levy does business at Tottenham. He will not want to lose his star player for any such fee. He'll be demanding probably a world record transfer fee, probably for Harry Kane to leave Tottenham. So it's a bit problematic, this one. But I think, is the Harry Kane situation a bit like Steven Gerrard at Liverpool years ago? Blind loyalty, sticking to the club, being the man that gets him out of trouble and almost carrying the team for long periods of his career. So if he's going to be selfish, he has to be thinking maybe this is the time to move.
Totally, yeah. I mean, like you say, though, Daniel Levy is going to be a huge obstacle because he's going to want at least £150 million. And he's talked before about £200 million when people have been kind of getting an idea of what the price would be. There's nobody that can pay £200 million right now for anybody. So that's again something that's going to be an obstacle. And yeah, I think Levy's had conversations with Kane in the past, and he's certainly ahead of this season was like, come on, give us this season. It's going to be tough for everybody. Get us through, and then we'll see where we're at. But at a time when he's trying to keep Bale at the club, and at the moment it seems like Mourinho's staying, I think Kane's his poster boy. He would be devastated to lose him.
Yeah, massive figure, Harry Kane, for everybody at the club on and off the pitch. But I'm sure if he was to leave, one of the suitors would be Manchester United, who have held a long-term interest in the striker. And talking of United, Dean, are they getting things right off the pitch now as well as on the pitch? The new setup at Old Trafford with John Murtagh, the director of football, the first one at United. Also, the former player Darren Fletcher now installed as technical director, and now latest reports suggesting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in line for a new contract as reward for the progress he's making there. So Ole's back at the wheel then, Dane. Everything's looking good for Man United. This new contract shouldn't be any real issue.
I don't think it will be an issue, no. I mean, look, this guy's had his job on the line more times than anybody else in football, it feels like. But United are still completely confident in him, very happy with the way the season's gone. They weren't expecting them to be the closest team to challenging for the title this season, and they are. I'm not saying it's a major fight that they're putting up, but they're the closest team to putting up any sort of fight for Man City. And he didn't get in the players at the start of the season that he thought he would be getting. That Jadon Sancho transfer wasn't there, and I think it set him back a bit at the start because he really thought that was going to happen. I think Solskjaer has proven a few times that he's probably smarter tactically than a lot of people give him credit for. I think that he's also very good at keeping a clear head. He doesn't get too carried away when things are going well, and equally when there are bad results, he's very good at making sure that it doesn't matter too much. He's make sure that the flaws in the performance are quickly fixed. Obviously, a lot of the time, United's football isn't the easiest on the eye. But I think that's all part of the evolution that he's trying to build towards. And, defensively, you look at the games they play against the Big Six, that they normally end 0-0. And I know that they were probably scarred a lot by that heavy defeat to Tottenham. But maybe that wasn't a bad thing. Maybe the fact that they are so resolute now in those big matches so often is a good building block. And I know that people talk about them needing a new centre back, but even if they don't have that person, they're still able to keep these clean sheets. So there's a foundation there. There's potentially one of the most exciting attacking fours in the game in terms of those four that they put out there: Fernandes, Rashford, Greenwood, and then whoever else you put in front at Cavani right now. But they'll obviously sign a new striker in the summer, I think. But yeah, Solskjaer, look, he's going to get a raise. He's going to get an extended contract, and everybody at United is very happy with him.
Yeah, I think so. But the thing he needs to do, probably, Dean, is to win a trophy. He's been close over the last 12 months or so. 3 semi-finals last year, lost those ones. He's opportunities to win trophies this year come in the FA Cup and the Europa League. Looks like they're going to finish second to Manchester City in the title race, which would be a good achievement considering where United were a few years ago and how strong City have been this season. But do you think it's vital that he does sort of get over that line and win a trophy this season?
I think it'd be helpful. I don't think it's vital in terms of whether he stays or not. I think that the club have seen enough promise and improvement that they think next season will be the year when they challenge for serious stuff. If they win the Europa League, it would be, it'd be great for Solskjaer, and I think it would be a huge bonus for the club. It's a massive game for them coming up against Milan. I think they're very disappointed, obviously, that they're not holding a lead from the first leg, but this is a real test of his tactics and all the rest of it, because I think that Milan are a club that are similar to United. They can be very fragile mentally. Milan have fallen out of the Serie A title race recently. They're kind of in a similar situation to United are, to be honest, in terms of their domestic league. And I think they really fancy it as well, going far in that Europa League. I think probably whoever wins that tie is going to go on and win that trophy. So it's a massive game, and it would be great for Solskjaer to just prove to everybody that he could do this. And maybe after winning a trophy, he might start to become a little bit more excitable and actually boast a little bit. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I think so. Once he gets that first trophy under his arm, I'm sure we'll see a lot more confident Solskjaer the way things are going. But yeah, it seems like things are going well for Manchester United on and off the pitch right now as well. But if you were to look at it, Dean, for the summer, what's the missing piece in the jigsaw for United to go and try and challenge for that title?
Well, I mean, they're going to need a striker because it doesn't look like Cavani's going to be staying. So they have to go and sign that person that's going to get them 20 goals a season. It's all lovely, this kind of counter-attacking football they can play, and Rashford and Greenwood cutting in off the flanks and Bruno creating. They've just got to find that person that can be the focal point of the side. I don't think Anthony Martial is that person. Even when he does have good games, he still misses big chances. Hasn't become the clinical number 9 that you thought you were going to be getting there. And I think that they're definitely considering selling him if a good offer was to come in. You say, who would you go and get? Harry Kane isn't going to become available. Erling Haaland, they've got to decide whether they go into that battle. I mean, that's going to be, a huge tussle to get him through. And as a result of that, the price is going to go up and up. Do they go back in for Sancho? They probably will, but only at the right price, which now is going to be like 50, 60 million, nothing like 120 million that have been touted before. Do they go and get a centre-back? I think it's dependent on Eric Bowyer and whether he ends up staying or not. They believe in Eric Bowyer, and they think that he can build a good partnership with Harry Maguire if he can stay fit and produce good form consistently. I think they've got more faith in that than Lindelof, to be honest. And then, of course, there's the question in goal, but at least they've got 2 goalkeepers that are perfectly capable there. It's not like they've got to go and buy another one. I know fans want them to sign a midfielder as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I don't think it's seen as the top priority.
Yeah, I think centre-back and striker is probably the 2 main priorities for Solskjaer in the summer. But whatever, it's looking like an exciting summer ahead for Manchester United in the transfer market, and things are looking good for them for next season, I think, to put a real serious challenge up to Manchester City for the Premier League title as well. So there was a Premier League casualty at, last weekend, Dean, with Chris Wilder losing his job at Sheffield United after almost 5 years in charge of Bramall Lane. What a job he did do there, it has to be said as well, leading them from League One to the Premier League, kept them in the Premier League last season where they finished ninth. Things have gone a bit, 9 games, rock bottom of the table. They're going back down to the Championship. Were you surprised with this one, Dane? Do you not think Wilder would have been the man perfectly there to get them back up next season?
I think it's a really bad decision to part company with Chris Wilder right now. I think that we've seen this happen before, where clubs decide to go in a different direction, decide that a manager's taken them as far as they can, and they just can't find anybody else that could do any better with that group of players. You've got to manage expectation. You've got to understand that what they achieved last season in the Premier League was way above what they really were capable of. It was only because Chris Wilder found solutions to problems and had such an understanding of his squad that he was able to do that. This season, he's been held back hugely by injuries to key players from last season, and also the fact that I don't think that, it's been quite publicised that the transfer windows just didn't go the way that were expected. And look, the obvious thing you do is you go down with Chris Wilder and you say, right, got one chance, let's get straight back there. And you would back him 9 times out of 10 to do exactly that. Look what Daniel Farke's done with Norwich. Let's say, right, let's go and do it. Let's go and blitz the Championship. Fans are back in. Let's go and have some fun, and then we'll go and do it again. And it's just so short-sighted to get rid of him. And I just wonder what they think the club can really achieve now. Like, they're going down to the Championship. Where are you turning? Doesn't make any sense to me.
That's a strange one, really. As you said, Wilder would be the ideal man to get them back up at the first attempt, just like Daniel Farke has done at Norwich. They stuck behind the manager when other teams might have got rid of him. But obviously, we know there's been a few issues behind the scenes. Talk of a director of football coming into Bramall Lane, which I don't think Chris Wilder was too enamoured with. And also, money was a bit tight there with the Prince not giving Wilder any money in January to spend as well. So what's happened at Sheffield United? It's going to be a big summer ahead for them. There's going to be players leaving. I know you've mentioned Sander Berg possibly being on the move. Ryan Brewster transfer hasn't really worked out either. So I think it's going to be a big summer of change at Bramall Lane.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? So all those big, the more high-profile names are now going to be looking to leave. And, can they find a taker for Ryan Brewster? Who knows? But Sander Berg isn't going to be hanging around for very long. I mean, he's been injured for quite a while, but I think he's on the verge of coming back. And, I've written today about the fact that Liverpool are coming into the conversation for him. They're very interested in strengthening in midfield, and Sander Berg is somebody that's going to be available and at a decent price at the end of the season, because he doesn't want to be playing Championship football. That's not why he arrived at Sheffield United. There'll be other clubs that are closely tracking that as well, I'm sure, in the next few weeks. And this is the problem. You've got this core group that came up together with Chris Wilder and were part of this great momentum, and they were loving life basically. And once the manager leaves, things can so quickly crumble. And so it's not just those big names leaving that will be the problem. It's the core of the squad, and you start looking, and there'll be teams either going down to the Championship with them or looking to come back from the Championship next season that will try and pick a couple of those players off and be like, okay, he could do a job for me. He could do a job for me. Look at players like Ollie Norwood, who basically just dot around season to season and help clubs either stay in the Premier League or go and fight to get into the Premier League. And there's a lot of players in that Sheffield United squad that could do that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a few of that squad looking over their shoulder now and just saying, maybe it's time to try something new. I'm not sure where this is going.
Yeah, I think there'll be lots of offers for some of those players from Sheffield United in the summer who will be hoping to stay in the Premier League. And I'm sure there'll also be a lot of offers for Chris Wilder now he's available. Dean, he's immediately been installed as the new favourite for the Celtic manager's job. 6-5, Chris Wilder. John Kennedy, who's interim manager right now, is 5-2. And then we've got Roy Keane at 4-1. Do you think this one has any legs in it, or would Wilder be a good fit for Celtic?
It's an interesting one. I mean, you look, Wilder's been such a success at Sheffield United because he was able to build something over time. You look at what he's done over 3 years, and it's just had a base, and there was no real expectation to get anywhere close to where he was by the time he left. almost a victim of his own success in that sense. And so he needs a club that are going to give him similar time to build that philosophy, build that understanding, get the people around him, maybe get a couple of those Sheffield United players through the door to follow him, because I'm sure he would look to do that if he took a job like Celtic. I don't know that Celtic, to be honest, have a clear idea of what they want right now, apart from the fact that they'd rather it was a cheap option. I think that's one of the key things to them, is that they haven't got a huge budget for their next manager, and so they're having to limit where they can look around. I'm sure Chris Wilder came onto the radar straight away when he lost his job, but it wouldn't have been somebody they obviously were thinking about before then. So it's something you're kind of reacting to. Obviously, yeah, Roy Keane was thrown in. I've seen Jesse Marsh, the RB Salzburg boss, is now in the conversation, and he's even spoken publicly about the fact that it's a job that would interest him. And maybe that's a path you go down as well. It's a different style of thinking, but done an unbelievable job at Salzburg, and is will heavily be linked to taking over the job at RB Leipzig when that opens up. So there are a lot of options for Celtic to consider right now, but I just can't look further than the man who's got the job right now. And I think that there's a possibility that Celtic are waiting for Kennedy to make the job his own, to be honest.
Yeah, well, he's got that perfect opportunity this weekend, Dean, with the latest Old Firm game, John Kennedy. I think if he was to get a win in that game and inflict the first league defeat of the season on Rangers, I think he'll be in a good place to get that job on a permanent basis as well. So yeah, big summer ahead for Celtic to try and get this managerial job right. They've got issues off the field as well, with the new chief executive coming in, a new director of football also set to come in. So they'll have a lot of impact on who will maybe replace Neil Lennon at Parkhead as well. We had a few managerial changes also in the EFL over the last few days, Dean. The circus that is Birmingham City continues to make some wild, crazy decisions. I don't think it was a wild decision to say Aitor Karanka was going to lose his job, but probably the way it's gone about, with news leaking out on Sunday that he was sacked, and then we're waiting until Tuesday for it to be actually confirmed. Also, news leaked out that Lee Bowyer was already in it, Birmingham City, before that was announced. I was told he already took a training session on the Monday before he was announced on Tuesday evening. So that's not good, that, from Birmingham City in my perspective. Obviously, the announcement came Tuesday evening. Karanka was sacked at 5:52. 15 minutes later, Lee Bowyer was announced by the club. So we all knew that these things were going on. But just getting around to Bowyer's appointment, do you think he's the man to keep them up this season?
I don't know, mate, because they've had like 10 managers in 10 years. So I think this is a problem that's deeper than the individuals that are brought into the hot seat. It's obviously been an absolute shambles, the way that the club's been run, and I know the fans have been extremely angry about it. This situation, not much different. Obviously, I think a lot of people will be pleased that Karanka's gone, but again, the circus that's been around it has just been ridiculous. It's an interesting path that they've gone down this time, though. I think that Bowyer has that link with the fans. They will love to see him be successful. We are obviously getting towards a time now when fans will be back in the stadium, and I think it's important for Birmingham that when that does happen, that there's a good feeling in the place. And I think that Bowyer being in the dugout will definitely help bring that. Can he keep him in the Championship? It's a big ask. I mean, Rotherham have got a few games in hand on him, and you look at the games that he's got coming up, it's very difficult to build any momentum from the off. The only thing I can think of really from Bowyer's point of view is that he's accepting that he could end up in League One next season. He can't have had much faith in Charlton's hopes of coming up from League One. And he must think that over the next 2 years, he's got a better chance of being in the Championship in a couple of years with Birmingham than he has with Charlton. And I guess, look, he's been used to kind of being part of a circus at Charlton anyway. So you think, well, how much worse can Birmingham really be? He's about to find out. Look, 10 years ago, I was at that game when they were in the Carling Cup final, and I saw 40, 50-year-old men crying. I mean, they've probably been crying again recently because it's been such a shambles. But hopefully they can start to get back to where they feel that club should be.
Yeah, it's not that long ago, like you said, Dean, that Birmingham were in the Premier League, battling against the big boys and doing all right. And as you said, winning major cup as well. So it seems a long time ago for those Birmingham fans of those heady days at Wembley. But yeah, I think the key one for me is probably the link between Bowyer and the fans. I think it's key now for the club to get the fans back on side and try and galvanise the club for this late push to try and stay in the championship. I think it's vital for the club. If they were to go down financially, it would be an absolute nightmare for them. But yeah, let's see how Lee Bowyer gets on there after leaving Charlton for Birmingham City. But a big job on his hands, and his main target is to try and keep them in the championship. Right, that's us for another week here on Touchline Talk. We'll be back next week for more insight and news on the world of football. Thank you.